AI saved my art. Yeah, I know. I probably scared a few of you there. But I'm not saying that I love AI art. Actually, I'm saying the complete opposite. I hate the concept of AI art. And the truth is, AI almost made me quit art completely. But somehow it ended up doing the complete opposite. I've been drawing my entire life. Not professionally, just as a hobby, but it always felt like a huge part of who I am. But over the last couple of years, something changed. The thing that once felt playful and creative slowly started feeling stressful. And when AI art suddenly exploded everywhere, it pushed that feeling even further. When I was a kid, I had this ridiculous, vivid imagination. I would constantly disappear in these imaginative worlds in my head. And creativity wasn't only drawing. I would sing and I would dance and I would do theater and I would create like my own fantasies. I started to believe myself. I was a really good liar and I could just convince myself that what I said was true. I was also really easy to fool. I cried so much because my parents told me that they actually weren't pirates that they have told me in their stories for such a long time. I was really sad about that. I also convinced myself that I was a witch and I had a dragon club and I hunted dragons with my friends on my free time. And I used to draw. I used to draw characters and I used to draw worlds. And I used so many different colors and pens and materials, and I loved to get it on my fingers and to just explore this like creative mind that I had. Anything where I could create and explore and imagine something new. And one crucial part about this is back then creativity wasn't about being good. It was about exploring. And then in my early 20s, I became a bit of a gamer. I discovered games like League of Legends, Overwatch, and then finally I got hooked on World of Warcraft. I blame my now husband. And it was through the games that I discovered digital art, because that was something I actually hadn't even thought about. And with that, I found all those amazing digital artists online, Loish and RossDraws. Yeah, you know, all those big ones. And people were creating these beautiful digital creations, and I didn't even know that was possible. And I remember thinking like, what? You can draw with a computer? So I got my first Wacom tablets and I was hooked straight away. I would draw for hours and it was so bad. I was so bad at it. It was horrible, but I loved it. I loved it so much. It was the best feeling. I can think about another time that I had that feeling when I first started drawing digital art. I had the same feeling when I was like 12 years old and I got Sims 2 and I opened up the game and I saw like the starting screen for the first time and I was so excited. You know, like the flutters inside. I was so excited about that. And it was the same feeling. It was this like feeling of doing an adventure. And after that, I bought my first iPad. And this is where I could not stop. I discovered Procreate and I was obsessed. And I started to post my art digitally on Instagram almost immediately. What I loved about Instagram then wasn't only the art, it was the community, it was the people, the like nice comments and boosting each other up and the challenges and in the inspiration, everything. As an adult, I hadn't really felt that kind of creative community before. But something slowly started happening to my arts. You know, because with digital tools, you can fix anything. And I started to feel like everything had to be perfect. I became addicted to Liquify tool because every line could be adjusted and every mistake could be erased and every face could be fixed. And yeah, that was horrible for my art because there was no life in it. I just erased everything with undo, the double tap, and with Liquify and with color mapping and fixing everything. Every small thing I could see I had to fix. And I did too much and then it wasn't my art anymore. It was just some weird shapes on the paper that looked too... I can't even say perfect because in my eyes that's not perfect. And slowly my art stopped to be playful and I stopped experimenting. I stopped taking risks, and everything had to be controlled. And somehow, the more powerful the tools became, I felt even more lost. And then one day, AI image generators appeared. And they improved ridiculously fast. One day, people were laughing at weird AI images, and they were so funny. And the next day, they were actually really good. And I had this really uncomfortable thought that if AI images could generate in seconds and be that good, why should I even learn? It made me strangely numb about art. Something I had loved my entire life felt meaningless. Like all those years that I had tried to get better, and I struggled really hard, and all the things that I still lacked in my art education, AI could just do that immediately. So for a while, I just stopped drawing. At some point, I tried to force myself back to creating. So I started a YouTube channel, which is maybe a weird way of starting to draw again, but I wanted to challenge myself, and I thought that the best thing to do was show my journey in learning more about art. And yeah, that didn't work. I set goals for myself. I told myself that I would practice more, but honestly, it fell completely flat. Because the problem wasn't discipline, it was that I had lost the joy of creating. I want to clarify something. I have no issue with technology. Artists have always used new tools, like photography and digital art and 3D. There's always something new. My issue is the ethics and the way AI art is currently implemented. Most generative AI models is trained on massive databases of existing images. And most of those images come from real working artists. And often without even the artists knowing or giving permission or receiving any compensation for this. And organizations like Svenska Tecknare here in Sweden have pointed out that raises serious copyright and ethical concerns. The concern many artists have is that their work may have been used to train AI systems without even their consent, which means that the model can generate images that resembles their style. So AI systems can reproduce visual styles that are incredibly closely to the original. And style is often what makes an artist actually build their career. It's their voice, it's their identity. Art has never been just about the final image. It's about the human experience within it, the years of practice, the personal experience, mistakes, and growth. That's what gives art meaning. Another concern many illustrators talk about is the impact on creative work. If companies can generate images instantly instead of hiring someone, the economics of the industry changes hugely. An art director that previously hired an illustrator to do a magazine spread could just potentially generate it themselves. And that could reduce the opportunities to get work for both the professional artists and the new emerging artists. And here's the funny thing. I actually work in tech. I'm a full-time front-end developer, and I see things about AI daily. It's day out and day in, especially on LinkedIn, where people celebrate AI images. And I completely understand why people are excited. But at the same time, I'm sitting here thinking, what does this mean for the creatives? So after failing my YouTube beginning, I didn't do art for a while. And then October came, and it was time for Inktober, which I know most of you are familiar with. And I've started Inktober every year and never finished it. I've been giving up really early. The most I did was like 4 days. But this time I felt like, screw it. I'm just gonna do it. And I'm gonna do it traditionally. Because what do I have to lose? Whatever. Let's just try traditional ink for the first time. And this is when something really unexpected happened. Because the moment I switched to ink, I suddenly realized something about my art that I hadn't seen in years. Something shifted immediately. There was no undo button, no liquify tool. I couldn't fix anything afterwards. Just ink and the line that came out of the pen. I could just respond to the prompt and create. It removed a lot of pressure. And this definitely forced me to push past my perfectionism, because you can't undo ink. There's no double tap on the paper, even if I tried a few times. And with this, I started posting on TikTok, and I tried to post every day, even if it wasn't that good. And I went from having a really hard time posting anything on YouTube to posting every day on TikTok, and actually enjoying it and finding, the joy that I missed on Instagram for a while, the community and just the messy sketches. And that was a really good feeling. So after Inktober, I went a bit crazy in the art store, and I bought so many things. And I wanted to try new materials, and I wanted to try different kind of pens and different kind of mediums and everything together. And it was a joyous time for me and not for my wallet. Yeah, my wallet definitely didn't appreciate its space. But for the first time in a long time, creating actually felt fun again. I was experimenting, making mistakes, and trying new things. So yeah, AI saved my art. And not because I started using AI. It was because it forced me to answer this really uncomfortable question. Why do I create? And the answer wasn't perfection, and it wasn't technical skills. It was curiosity and exploration and creating something imperfect with my own two hands. And it was finding my way back to the feeling I had when I was a kid, and I just smudged the colors on the paper with my fingers, not caring about anything in the world other than just the colors on that paper and the worlds that I was creating and the characters that I imagined meeting. And I was sharing those stories with my friends and with my family, and the love of being creative.